What if Thor was banished instead of Loki? We all know the story. Thor, the golden son of Asgard. Loki, the mischief maker. One raised to rule, the other constantly pushing the edge. But what if that dynamic was reversed? What if Thor, the god of thunder, was the one cast out of the golden realm, and Loki stayed behind in Odin's favor? Picture it. Thor, brash and impulsive, goes too far. Maybe he charges into battle without permission. Maybe he breaks a sacred law. Maybe he disrespects the balance between realms in a way Odin can't ignore. Instead of being taught a lesson, Loki keeps his cool. He plays by the rules. And Thor, the mighty warrior, finds himself exiled. He lands on Midgard, stripped of his hammer and power, lost, angry, mortal. Meanwhile, back in Asgard, Loki doesn't fall from grace, he rises. Without Thor's shadow, Loki steps into the spotlight. He's charming, strategic, and unshackled from jealousy. The court of Asgard listens to him. Odin, tired and aging, begins to trust him. The trickster becomes the diplomat. The manipulator becomes the monarch. But power doesn't come without pressure. Loki may rule well for a time. He strengthens alliances, manages the realm, and brings a new kind of order. But he isn't Thor. When danger knocks at the gates of Asgard, there is no hammer to meet it. Down on Earth, Thor is learning. Not how to fight, he's always known that. He's learning how to listen, to lead, to live without being the strongest person in the room. For the first time, Thor sees what it means to be human, and it changes him. But trouble doesn't wait for personal growth. With Thor gone, old enemies rise. The frost giants, the fire demon Surtur. The whisper of Ragnarok comes early. Loki tries to manage it with wit and illusion, but it's not enough. Asgard needs its thunder back. And just when all seems lost, the sky splits open. Mjolnir returns to Thor's hand. He doesn't reclaim his throne in anger. He doesn't fight for revenge. He returns because the realm needs him not as a prince, but as a protector. He fights not to prove himself, but because it's the right thing to do. That is the true test of a god. And Loki, he understands. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. Maybe he was never meant to rule alone. Maybe Asgard was never about one son or the other, but the balance between them. Thunder and trickery, strength and strategy, light and shadow. Thor's arrival on Midgard isn't glorious. There's no fanfare, no royal guards, no thunder. Just a crash landing in the middle of nowhere. A god who once soared across realms now finds himself grounded, bruised, and ordinary. He wanders aimlessly, looking for answers in a world that doesn't recognize him. Days turn into weeks. He sleeps under the stars, eats mortal food, hears mortal stories, and slowly, something changes. Thor, once ruled by ego, begins to listen. He meets people who have nothing yet give everything. Farmers who fight droughts, parents who sacrifice for their children, elders who speak wisdom without needing a hammer to be heard. He starts to see that strength isn't about how loud you roar, but how deeply you care. Back in Asgard, Loki sits on a throne he never thought would be his. The golden palace gleams, but behind the shine is unease. Council members whisper behind his back. Warriors question his tactics. The 9 realms grow restless. Without Thor, some begin to test their limits. Loki, though cunning, is stretched thin. Every decision is met with resistance. Every alliance feels fragile. For the first time, he sees the weight Thor carried and resents the loneliness of command. The Bifrost glows less frequently now. Heimdall watches realms spiral out of balance. He doesn't speak it aloud, but he knows Loki's reign lacks something. A storm, a hammer, a presence that demands order by simply existing. Then, trouble escalates. The frost giants breach Vanaheim. The dark elves stir in Svartalfheim. Ancient beasts long kept at bay inch closer to the realms of gods and men. Loki unleashes spells, commands armies, makes bargains, but the chaos only grows. He dreams of Thor, not with envy, but with longing. The brother he mocked, the rival he plotted against he now needs. And across the stars the old hammer begins to hum. Thor awakens one night, drenched in sweat, heart pounding. He senses it, the imbalance, the pull. Mjolnir has not forgotten him. In one final test of worth it returns. Not because Thor is perfect, but because he has changed. He has learned that to lead is not to conquer, but to serve. He rides the storm once more. His return to Asgard is not a royal march. It's a rescue mission. Lightning tears through the sky as he crashes into the battlefield, flanked by warriors who remember his name. Enemies scatter. The tide turns, and when he stands before Loki, there is no demand for the throne, only an outstretched hand. The brothers, once torn by fate, now stand side by side. Ragnarok, still on the horizon, waits, but this time, Asgard faces it united. So what if Thor had been banished instead of Loki? Perhaps the god of thunder would have found his soul in exile. Perhaps the god of mischief would have found his heart on the throne. And perhaps, in a world turned upside down, the truest power lies not in being chosen, but in choosing who you become. What do you think? Would Asgard have stood stronger or fallen faster? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Mytho Mouths, where mythology gets flipped, twisted, and reimagined. Because even the gods deserve a plot twist.